Okay, so next on this board is Marco Rubio. So Rubio is the current Secretary of State and acting National Security Advisor, which is the first person to hold that dual role since Henry Kissinger. And I feel like people don't understand exactly how powerful he is. Like, he is arguably the most powerful foreign policy figure in the US government right now, and he is sitting on this Board of Peace. And to understand his role in this administration and on the Board of Peace, you have to go back to 2015, back when he was still a senator and going to a dinner with Larry Ellison. That's right, in 2015, Larry Ellison had a dinner with Marco Rubio. And after that dinner, Larry Ellison emailed the Israeli UN ambassador Ron Prosser and wrote, "Great meeting with Marco Rubio. I set him up to meet with Tony Blair. Marco will be a great friend for Israel." Oh, we love a good crossover episode, don't we? And within weeks of that email, Ellison directed $5 million to Rubio's super PAC. And interestingly enough, those emails came out in a 2024 hack by a group with suspected Iranian ties, and Dropsite News had verified the content before publishing. And those emails tell you everything you need to know. I mean, Ellison told you exactly what he was doing. He was vetting a future senator and connecting him to a former prime minister of the UK. And now, 10 years later, Rubio is in charge of exporting weapons to Israel and is sitting on Trump's Board of Peace right next to Tony Blair. Which brings us to the next cretin on this board. Tony Blair. Now, I've talked a lot about Tony Blair and Larry Ellison's relationship on my channel, but the TLDR is Tony Blair is the former prime minister who, after leaving office, built something called the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. And since leaving office in 2007, the institute has received over $300 million from Larry Ellison, confirmed from the Ellison's own foundation filings and the institute's own accounts. And that is a lot of money for a think tank, isn't it? Well, if you want to know what that money actually buys, there is a Lighthouse Report investigation with 29 current and former staff sources that is worth reading. Turns out the Blair Institute is essentially the same as Oracle. They found that Blair's Institute employs a dedicated staff member just to manage the Oracle partnership, shares a board member with Oracle, and has been described by former employees as an offshoot of Oracle. They're just hawking Oracle tech across countries around the world. One former staffer even said that the meetings were like being a part of the same organization. They would go on retreats together. So for all intents and purposes, anytime you see Tony Blair or the Blair Institute doing anything ever, you can assume that they're acting on behalf of Oracle. It's essentially seeing Oracle do something. And interesting that Blair's Institute is the organization that wrote the governance blueprint for how Gaza would be administered after the war. The same blueprint that Kushner brought to Davos, the blueprint that the Board of Peace is now implementing. So you mean to tell me that the former prime minister who designed the plan is funded by the same billionaire who introduced him to the Secretary of State 10 years ago? Funny how that works. Which brings me to the name that I keep circling throughout all of this. Larry Ellison. Most people know Larry Ellison as the Oracle billionaire, which, true. You also probably know that he is the largest private donor to the Israeli military in American history. He's given over $26 million to the Friends of the IDF since 2014, including a single $16.5 million donation in 2017 that is the largest gift in the organization's history. And that is the part we have discussed at length. But here is the part that a lot of people don't know. Ellison is not just the largest funder of the Israeli military. His company is the operational backbone of it. According to Open Intel, Oracle holds a 26-year contract to build and operate the IT infrastructure for the IDF's intelligence campus in Negev. For clarity, that is the facility that houses Unit 8200, Israel's Signals, Intelligence, and Cyber Warfare Division, and one of the largest listening bases in the world. That is a 26-year relationship extending into the 2040s between a private American company and the intelligence apparatus of a foreign military. And that's just the intelligence side, because Oracle also runs the Israeli Air Force entire logistics system, the supply chain that tracks its spare parts for F-35s and F-16s, aviation fuel, and mutations inventory. Oracle hosts an AI battlefield management system called Fireweaver that coordinates sensors and weapons on the battlefield in real time, which means that Oracle software is making targeting decisions in the kill chain for Israeli Defense Forces. Oracle's own co-CEO Safra Katz said on the record that the company's commitment to Israel is second to none. And Safra Katz also served herself on the IDF, but that's a story for another time. Oh, and Palantir. Let's get into Palantir, because Palantir, which has a formal strategic relationship with Oracle and runs Oracle's cloud, has a permanent desk inside the Civil Militaries Coordination Center in southern Israel. The center is now the operational headquarters of the Board of Peace. Because, you know, the same Palantir software that ran battlefield targeting during the war and flattened Gaza now runs aid tracking for the Board of Peace on top of Oracle's cloud. Isn't all this so funny? It's so funny. So I want to be very clear when I tell you that Larry Ellison is not just funding the IDF. I mean it literally. His company is the IDF. And 6 of the 9 people on the Board of Peace are directly tied to Larry Ellison's network. That's who built it. So I guess the next obvious question is why? If Larry Ellison is the one moving the chess pieces here, then what does he get out of building this Board of Peace? Why does he want to build this Board of Peace? What does he get from funding the IDF like he is? Well, there is a detail from January that I think answers that question, and as far as I can tell, nobody has connected it to this Board of Peace.